What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man. And this evening, I wanted to jump on here to talk about the upcoming Giants Live extravaganza, the Strongman Classic 2021, which most conspicuously is the return of the great, my friend, Big Laz Lawrence Chalet, who I think a lot of us are looking very, very forward to seeing compete again. And it's going to be at the Strongman Classic coming up very soon in just a few short weeks. The other crazy thing about the Strongman Classic is that the competitors there will be a lot of the guys that we just saw competing at World's Strongest Man. So what I have listed here is just a list kind of in order of what I saw on the Giants Live website. These placings 1, 2, and 3 are just placeholders there, which we will discuss and predict later. They're not attached to the names that I think will actually win at this point. But we have Adam Bishop, we have JF Caron, Mark Felix, Terry Hollins, Alexei Novikov, Luke Richardson, Evan Singleton, Ivar Schmockstellis, Luke Stoltman, Tom Stoltman, Mateusz Kieliszkowski, Big Laz Lawrence Chalet, and Iron Bibby. So those are our competitors. Now, there are a few injuries in this mix, so some of these gentlemen may not be competing. I haven't had confirmation yet. I reached out to Ivar Schmockstellis. He told me he is competing, so we'll consider that one a definite as long as nothing happens between then and now. He's planning on competing. Then we have JF Caron, who tore his hamstring at World's Strongest Man, so not sure how long something of that severity will take to recover, but hopefully we see him there and hopefully we see him in full force. So we'll see about that. We have Mark Felix. We have Terry Hollins, who very recently announced his retirement from World's Strongest Man competition. So I don't know if that extends to all Giants Live competitions or just World's Strongest Man for now. So my guess is that he wouldn't be competing here either because he kind of, they all put their body through heck at World's Strongest Man this year, World's Strongest Man 2021, that is. And I would imagine Terry wants a rest. I would imagine a lot of these guys want a rest. Tom Stoltman put his heart and soul into winning that competition, and to come back this soon to compete again is asking a lot of, not only physically, but, mentally, emotionally to put that much into it. By the way, the Strongman Classic is happening at the historic Royal Albert Hall in London on July 24th of this year, 2021. And the importance of that year is that it is 120 years after the last strength competition happened at Royal Albert Hall, which was hosted by Eugen Sandow and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Hosted or judged by? Let's see. Let me get that one right. Judged by Eugen Sandow and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and that was in 1901. So strength sports started at Royal Albert Hall in 1881 and went all the way through to what they called the Great Competition in 1901, and it's now been 120 years since that historic venue has been able to host another strength competition. So it's a monumental thing that is happening this time around for that kind of strength competition to be happening of this caliber with these guys. So again, look at these names. This is a crazy stacked talent pool. I'm hoping that Luke Richardson would be able to be there, but I think his injury sounded like it was a little bit too severe, but who knows? I'm not any type of medical professional to be able to make those judgments. I hope to see him there. I think he would put on a great show if he's fully healthy. Evan Singleton, as far as I'm aware, at World's Strongest Man. Hey, what's up, World's Strongest Blacksmith? Thanks for jumping on again. I wish I could go. I wish I could go too. Have you checked out the tickets? They're actually, they're not cheap, but they're not as crazy expensive as I would have thought. I think they start at 41 pounds or something like that for the cheapest seats, and they went up to, I want to say 260 is what I saw last time I checked, which 260 pounds is a lot of money, but compare that, for example, to going to like a UFC event. The best seats at a UFC event are thousands. So, to be able to see this caliber of athlete competing against each other in such a historic venue. And if you haven't checked out the venue on the Giants Live website, you should. It looks like an absolutely beautiful hall. beautiful venue. Hey, what's up, Alvin? Good day to you too. But yeah, it looks like an absolutely beautiful venue. And to be, that up close and personal, they even have VIP tickets where you can meet the strongmen. It's going to be incredible. So let's talk about first, before we talk about how we think guys will do, because they haven't really released the official events, at least not on the Giants Live website, as far as I can tell. I did try to reach out to a couple of guys and get it out of them. And, nobody was rude, but I didn't get answers either. I think they're kind of like politely avoiding it, maybe because it's not official yet. But the website does say generically there'll be some sort of stone carry, a Hercules hold, some kind of overhead press, and then they say a surprise event. And they did say it's 6 events total. So there's 2 more events other than those 4, of which we're not sure what they will be. So, at this point, very, very early to predict winners. For any of you that go on Big Loz Official, which you should if you haven't yet, definitely subscribe to Loz and Liz. They're working their tails off to bring you the best content in Strongman. And if you haven't subscribed to them, you really should. You should like their streams and really, really support them because, again, they're working really hard. And a lot of it is during really late night hours because they're trying to accommodate for other parts of the world. So show them some love if you haven't yet. But I'm just over the moon that he is coming out of retirement to participate in this competition, a competition of this caliber against these guys. It'll be really, really exciting. And Big Loz was talking about wanting to be at about 90% of his best for this competition. And he thinks that if he can get to 90% of his best of, what used to be his best, he can be pretty competitive. And I really want to see that. So I was on his live stream yesterday with him and Liz, and in the audience, of course, not as a guest. And one of my comments was, my money's on Big Loz to win the Hercules hold. And he started laughing. He's like, my money is on Mark Felix. But I think he can definitely do some damage. Loz is a very motivated guy. Yes, he's not in his prime anymore, but big kudos to him for coming back for this one. He calls it one last contest. We'll see, if he does well enough and has a good enough time, maybe he does another one. And he has already said he does not want to do World's Strongest Man again, which I, don't blame him. I see the reasoning for that. But hey, if he likes this one and is doing well with these one-day events and wants to do more, I, for one, am going to watch him. Definitely would love to watch him. So going through some of the other guys, Luke Richardson, like I was saying, as far as I can tell, I'm no doctor or medical professional, but I don't think he would be ready and healed in time for this after the injury at World's Strongest Man. Evan Singleton probably could be because, as far as I'm aware, he wasn't injured. He was ill of some kind, like a cold or a flu, or, all I heard was he was potentially ill, and I never heard really confirmation that he actually was or what it was, but I didn't hear of any actual injury. So hopefully he is still up for the Strongman Classic and can compete there. Then we have Ivar Smockstellis, who, as I mentioned, he and I have been playing DM tag a little bit, trying to have him on my channel for an interview, which he should be doing soon. And so we do DM each other from time to time. And I asked him, and he said, as far as he's aware right now, he is planning to compete. So he will be there. And he's going to be back in the States in August, I believe, at some point. So he'll be closer to my time zone. And we're going to try to make an interview work for that particular time. So that should be really exciting, given Ivar's great success recently. And what a nice guy he really is. So let's see. Luke and Tom Stoltman were on their YouTube channel recently. I watched a bit of it before I jumped on here. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw them. Luke said he had a broken foot from World's Strongest Man. And then Tom said he had a torn hamstring, but it was a micro tear. So he kind of made a big show of saying, like, don't get all worried. It's just a micro tear. So I'm going to assume that Tom still wants to compete at the Strongman Classic. If Luke actually has a broken foot, I don't know how you get over that in time for July 24th. But, best of luck. I want to see him compete. I'm a fan of Luke Stoltman. I like watching him compete. He's a great strongman, but I would like him to heal properly as well. So, and take the time that he needs. Then, of course, we have the return of Mateusz Kieliszkowski, who's been out with his injury and the kind of aggravation to that injury afterward. And he's coming back supposedly for the Strongman Classic. So I tried to check out his Instagram to see if he mentioned anything about committing to actually competing here. And some of it was in English, some wasn't. So I couldn't get a solid read on that, but he is working out again. He actually said in one of his recent posts, like, I just started deadlifting again, and he's, starting to work his way back up a little lighter. So I don't know. I mean, we're still 25 days away, right? So that might be enough time for him to be ready. And then we have Iron Bibby, who we haven't discussed yet. So Iron Bibby typically shows up for competitions that have overhead pressing. He's a master of that sort of thing, one of the very best in the world as far as shoulder strength and overhead pressing is concerned. I don't know a lot about how well he's done in these other types of events. As far as Big Loz has always said, Bibby is, better in the overhead pressing than the other events. Let's just leave it at that, and kind of really gets himself up for those sorts of events. But anybody in the audience, what are you thinking with the events that we do know? So we know that it's some sort of stone carry. I think they would say if it was an Atlas stone load to a podium. So I'm going to assume it's some sort of natural stone for speed or for distance or something like that. Hercules hold and overhead press. So out of these gentlemen, and again, if you just joined in, the order I have their names in is not any sort of prediction. It's the order they were on the website. So the number 1, 2, and 3, gold, silver, and bronze are just whichever names will fall into those placings when they actually do compete. But this is a random order of names. It is not at all any kind of prediction. So anybody in the audience, who do you think, if we're doing a stone carry, has the advantage or the potential to win that particular event? So I'm thinking of this list. Alexi is definitely up there, and Adam Bishop. Those are the names that really jump out at me as far as, speed athletes, loading event athletes who can carry weight for speed. So I'm going to say either Alexi or Adam Bishop wins that one if they're both in there and both fully healthy. Who else? Ivars can do very well there as well. Again, this is going to depend a lot on who comes in healthy and who's not injured, because we have multiple injuries in this list. But what do you guys think in the comments? Let me know about the stone carry. Hercules hold. I think anybody who has studied strongman at all would say that Mark Felix is going to win the Hercules hold. He has multiple records in the Hercules hold. I just know that Big Loz has an incredible grip. And if anybody's going to give Mark Felix a run for his money on Hercules hold, I would say it would be Big Loz. And Mark's got to get old sometime, doesn't he? He can't just go on winning Hercules holds forever. So why don't we make I'm not going to do all of my predictions yet, because again, I need to know what all the events are, but let's make one shocking prediction, because I guess that's what I'm known for now. Big Loz is going to win the Hercules hold. There you go. There's my shocking prediction for the evening. And then any sort of overhead pressing. So as far as the guys that we have here, if we're, assuming they're all healthy, if we're assuming they're all at full power, an overhead press event, do we say that favors Mateusz Kiliaskowski? What do we think? Patrick says Tom or Novikov for stone carry. Thanks for reminding me. Tom did really I don't want to say surprisingly well, but I think from what I heard him say on his own YouTube channel, he surprised himself even a little bit with his speed at World's Strongest Man. But yeah, Tom was very good with speed events at World's Strongest Man and carrying. So yeah, Tom or Novikov. I'm going to stick with having Bishop in the mix there, but good picks there. Yeah, so overhead press, I'm going to say Kiliaskowski. Let me look at the rest of this list. Oh, Bibby, of course. Evan Singleton didn't do quite as well as I thought he would, given the prep I saw him do for World's Strongest Man. But then again, he was, supposedly ill during World's Strongest Man. Again, haven't gotten confirmation of any of that anywhere. But from what I heard, he was not at the peak of his power. So he could be dangerous on an overhead pressing event as well. But yeah, who else do you think is going to do well in that particular event? And then surprise event, I'll ask all of you, what do you think the surprise could be? They're not going to do flag hoist again like they did at WUS, I would assume, right? So let's ask it this way. Not what do you think the surprise is going to be, but what would you want it to be? What would be the greatest surprise event in your mind? Let's ask the question that way. Patrick says, let's see, if it's something that resembles a shield carry, speed shouldn't matter as much, just got to go to the distance. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, so what would all of you like to see as the surprise event? Oh, and if I could ask you a quick favor, I just got recently monetized on YouTube, and believe this or not, I was on with their customer support last night, and there is no way for me to check whether my super chats are active. So I'm not saying you have to press it, but Do you see the dollar sign next to the emoji icon where you're chatting? Can you just let me know if it's there? Because believe it or not, YouTube has no way to tell me if it's active. Power stairs, says Sam Barco. That would be kind of cool. So who would that favor here? Who's done well in power stairs in the past of these gentlemen? I would imagine JF could do pretty well. I mean, power stairs is kind of a the stepping is sort of akin to a squat, kind of, sorta, and the arm part is kind of akin to a deadlift, kind of, sorta. So maybe JF could be good at an event like that. Javier sees it. Thank you, buddy. I really do appreciate that. I can't tell you like how many nights I've been up with customer support trying to get them to answer that question for me. So it's weird because you get monetized and you wait a week before certain features even appear, and you wonder like, is there a bug somewhere? So thank you, Javier. I really appreciate that. That's very, very helpful. Deadlift an airplane, says Brother Mister. I don't know about that. Maybe pull an airplane. I guess it depends on the size of an airplane. And Sam confirms. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Javier. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it wasn't. Supposedly, they told me it wasn't there as of yesterday, and their instructions were literally keep waiting a few days and keep doing live chats until it's there. And I said, okay, but I can't see it from my side. But yeah, thank you for that. How about some of the really old school events like tug of war or sumo? I don't think they'll actually do them, but would you like to see any of those? I would personally not so much like to see sumo, but like to see tug of war. Or any other sort of head to, man versus man type activity instead of time beating time kind of thing. Brother Mister agrees with me. I would love to see a tug of war. All right. Brother from another Mister. We agree on that one, tug of war. Which was your favorite tug of war from back in the day? There was Kaz versus Reinhardt, was it? If I remember correctly, that was a good one. World's Strongest Blacksmith says overhead press a max weight Atlas stone would be a good surprise event. That's true because I've seen people train like that, but I can't remember ever seeing a competition where that's an event. So that would be pretty. I would like that as well. Odd shaped object press. Have you ever had to do that, Tyler, in a comp, or have you trained it at home? Javier says ideal events would be something old-timey themed, like the backlift or Steinborn squat. It's interesting you mentioned the backlift. So I have a co-host, Hunger Smash Fitness. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, you should, and subscribe to him there. He really does deserve it for all his hard work. We do a weekly live stream called Strong and Stronger. So he actually competes amateur. So I call myself Strong and he's Stronger. So it's Strong and Stronger. And we alternate the weeks on whose channel it's on. So it was on his channel this week. And we had last night, we called it the White Beards edition. So we had JT Sowards, Jason Sowards, Mike Cromer, and Big Bad Santa were on there. So JT Sowards, for anybody who follows him, knows the crazy kind of old-time lifts he does. And so when you mention old-timey themed lifts like Steinborn squats, or he even does like stuff in his teeth and things like that, you reminded me of JT Sowards. So if you are interested in that sort of thing, definitely either head on over to Hunger Smash Fitness and watch our stream from last night, or wait a day or two until he shares the file with me. I'll put it on my channel as well. So whoever you want to support, you can. It'll be there either way. But yeah, that was a good one. Big Bad Santa is funny as hell. You should you should definitely check it out. World's Strongest Blacksmith says Kaz versus Capes was a good tug of war. That's true. Wasn't Capes like winking at him like he had him and then Kaz took it? Tyler says, sorry, I call him Tyler because he's my buddy. I did it once with a 185-pound Atlas stone. I gotta, I'm just a guy working out in my garage. I gotta figure out where I can find an Atlas stone. We do have strongman gyms here in New Jersey, so I just gotta find one with an Atlas stone light enough for a guy who's never done it to try it and see what I can do. Patrick says, I'm thinking Thomas Inch dumbbell or Steinborn squat could be cool for this event. Patrick, it's cool that you brought that up. So what would you say is the most impressive feat of strength you've ever seen done with a Thomas Inch dumbbell? So there are several. There's a particular Brian Shaw one, a particular Mark Henry one. Which is your favorite? Which do you think was the most impressive? And while you're all thinking about it, I'll tell you mine. I for sure think it's the Brian Shaw double Thomas Inch dumbbell pickup and incline press. I forgot how many reps he did it for. It was like 5 or 6 reps. Something's crazy impressive. Mark Henry's where he did the one hand clean and press overhead in front of that. It looked like it was like a cotillion or like some sort of a golf crowd or something. But yeah, that one was really impressive too. But the Brian Shaw double Thomas Inch incline press was crazy to me. Mark Dade says, I love Big Tommy. A lot of people love Big Tommy, especially these days after his incredible accomplishment. Sam Barco says Conan's wheel has been a while. Sam, do you have an opinion on Conan's wheel versus Titan's turntable that we saw at World's Strongest Man? Do you like one versus the other? Did Titan's turntable live up to the hype? Like a lot of people were thinking, hey, that sounds really cool. I'm really looking forward to that. Did it live up to the hype for you? And I know it's hard to respond to since we haven't seen the actual footage yet, but from what we've heard of what they ended up doing with it, let me know your opinion. World's Strongest Blacksmith says, hybrid stone molds from Amazon is what I use to make mine. Interesting. I'll go check that out. And then just concrete, I guess. Sam Barco says, Shaw for sure. Ode Haugen 50 rep deadlifts at the Arnold Classic. Yeah, Ode is just out of this world. Unbelievable. Brother Mister says, is there a competition that's more like open class where they bring in former strongmen who are retired, maybe all former podium finishers? That would be dope. I have not heard of anything like that happening. I mean, the Strongman Classic has Big Loss coming, but I don't think he was ever a podium finisher. I actually just did this data really recently. I have to check. I think he was 4th once. No, he might have been a podium finisher. I got to check. But not like a let's get a bunch of podium finishers that are all retired. I haven't seen anything like that. It's possible. I mean, in the US, they have a lot of masters class shows. So, but they're still actively competing masters. They're just past a certain age. And there's a lot of great athletes there. Like for Brian Shaw fans, you might know Steve Foshin, who helps get him ready for World's Strongest Man and trains with him. Steve Foshin is one of the best masters in the country. Sam Barco says, I like the pushes better, maybe less injury chance versus Conan's. Maybe. Yeah. What was interesting about the Titans turntable is I saw like tiny clips here and there, and it looked like some people did it like a Zercher hold, like this, and some people did the outstretched arm push type of mechanism. So I wonder which was more effective. Brian Shaw was talking on Shaw Strength about just not getting the technique down fast enough. Like he was pretty disappointed in his performance on that particular event. And I think I predicted him to win that event, if I remember correctly. And he just felt like he left points on the table. Like it wasn't something that was too hard for him, but he just didn't get the technique down right and didn't get his body placement correct on that one. So it would be interesting to talk to someone, and I should ask one of the strongmen or strongwomen that we have on our weekly live stream that have done these types of events before, like what's more effective, the outstretched arm or the Zercher type hold. Mark Dade, you pronounce it perfect, like Dade County, love from Scotland. What's up, Mark Dade? I always say whenever we have somebody from Scotland on here, it brings back wonderful memories. I had a vacation with my wife many years ago before we had kids to Edinburgh, and it was I loved it there. Absolutely beautiful. For anybody on here who has not been to Edinburgh, you got to check it out. Glasgow wasn't as much my my cup of tea. It was more like city like I'm used to, but Edinburgh is beautiful. Like you have sort of the main area of the city, and then you cross a bridge, and then you had, of course, like the bars, the restaurants, whiskey shops, and then at the end of the hill is a castle that like overlooks the city. It's absolutely beautiful. So Google it. Do Google images on Edinburgh, Scotland, and you'll all want to go for sure. It's absolutely beautiful there. So love right back at you, Mark, from the US. World's Strongest Blacksmith says the most impressive Brian feat for me is the face-to-face original Paul Anderson deep dish York plate pinch grip. I saw that on Strongest Man in History, and that was really impressive as well. I forget, did Eddie? I think Eddie got it barely after a couple tries, but Brian did it over and over again really easily. Um, but Tyler, I mean, you were on our stream last night, right? On over on my co-host Hunger Smash Fitness's channel. You saw an incredible feat of strength that I did there last night, right? Don't tell people. For anybody who hasn't checked that out, as I said, head on over to Hunger Smash Fitness, watch it there, or wait a day or two before we share the files with each other. So we alternate weeks. 1 week is on his channel, and they're Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you're ever looking for extra strongman content with awesome guests, we always have guests. So it's not just he and I doing analysis. We always have some sort of guest. Tyler's been on the show before, World's Strongest Blacksmith. We've had everybody from Travis Ortmeyer to JF Carone. We've had Jessica Fithin. We've had Haley Randall, Rebecca Lorch. We've had a who's who on there. Lauren Wells has been on there. So if you're looking for strongman content and have questions that you want to ask a lot of these accomplished athletes, definitely check us out 9 p.m. Eastern every Monday night. Again, it's going to be on my channel this coming Monday, so we'll let you know who those guests are coming up. And now that I'm monetized, I have a community tab finally. I don't know why you have to be monetized to have a community tab, but I can put all this great information on there for all of you so you know what's coming soon. So that'll be awesome. World's Strongest Blacksmith. This is the most I've seen on one of your live streams. This right here, I can't tell how many people are on right now. So thanks for letting me know. That's great. That's great. Mark Dave, thanks. You're a good man. So are you, buddy. So are you. Yeah, it is what it is. Like, there's no one can say Edinburgh's not beautiful. It's just cannot be denied. World's Strongest Blacksmith is saying, I can't stand to do one. Okay. Got it. Oh, you tried to do the face-to-face with 25s? Okay. What do people think about the Sylvester Stallone supposed fake weight controversy, where he was kind of on all fours, had two plates in front of him. You know, I'm using the word plates for 45s. So he had a 45 in each hand on his knees and then kind of stood up with the 45s and made it look really difficult. I saw Greg Doucette, whose content I love watching. He's one of the guys who really inspired me to start my channel. I don't know if it was the exuberance or what it was, or the amount of content that he's such a dedicated content creator. Like, I watched him and I said, wow, this guy's really, really putting out the effort and dedicated. So Greg Doucette tried to recreate what Stallone did, and he couldn't do it, and he's an IFBB pro. So what do you guys think about whether that was real or not? I got to try it. I'll work my way up. I'll try it with 25s first and work my way up. Brother Mister says, do you think they would ever do a throwing challenge like an axe throw or a stone? I would love to see it. I don't know if they ever would. So they did a shot put on Strongest Man in History. If you ever caught that series that had Robert Oberst, Nick Best, Brian Shaw, and Eddie Hall, it was a shot put, but not a standard shot put. It was in Scotland. And so it was a traditional, apologies to my Scottish friends, I don't remember the name, but it's a very famous Highland Games contest with a very particular stone of a particular weight. And Robert Oberst was a shot putter in high school and college, I believe. So I think he won it. Like, he beat out even Brian, because shot put takes technique, not just strength. And he had the experience. But yeah, so I've seen it there, but to do it at like World's Strongest Man or Arnold's or any big contest, I don't know if it would ever happen. It would be pretty cool. An axe throw, I don't know, because an axe throw is more, it has to spin a certain way. So I think they've done them in the past, like back in Kazmaier's day, didn't they? But to do that again, like, if you're trying to stick it in a target, like, how does that show strength? It shows accuracy, right? So I don't know if they would ever do an axe throw, but a stone, maybe. I don't know. I don't see it happening, but I'd love to see it. Patrick says that's he thought Stallone was just being silly. I think that's kind of the consensus. Like, he was just being entertaining, and it was entertaining. Like, facts are facts. Let's lay my cards on the table. Stallone's my favorite actor of all time. Like, Rocky was inspiring all throughout my youth, and yes, I'm that old. Like, I think I was probably born either the year before or the year after the first Rocky. I forget which, but yeah, like, he's my favorite actor, so I will never say a bad word about Sylvester Stallone. So I think he was, like you say, just being entertaining. World's Strongest Blacksmith. Know what you did, my teeth are Okay, he's referring to our stream from last night. I won't tell you what happened there, except to say that again, anyone who's watched JT Sowards on, he's only on Facebook. So his brother Jason's on Instagram, but JT's only on Facebook, and he's very famous for doing not only old school lifts, but very unique, creative type of lifts that most people don't think to do. So like he'll balance a barbell on his feet while he's laying on the ground and do a leg press. Instead of using a leg press machine, he's actually balancing a bar, and he's doing these with pretty heavy weights. So he does a particular lift that we were examining on his Instagram during our live stream. And while all our guests and my co-hosts were talking, I grabbed some weights and tried to recreate it. Of course, I did like half the weight that he did or less, but it was pretty funny. I think you get a kick out of it if you go check it out. Sam Barco says they threw a Thor's hammer too. Probably not going to work inside. True. That's true. That'd be something to see at the Shaw Classic, but that inside is a very big inside, so maybe there is room. What do you get? Like a 25,000 square foot facility, so that should be really cool. Shaw Classic was awesome last year, but we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be even better this year. Iraq says Mateus's name is misspelled. Probably is. Thank you for pointing that out. EUSZMET. I'll check it out. Yeah, I probably copy pasted it wrong. Thank you. Or maybe you mean his last name. But yeah, I probably copy pasted it wrong. So yeah, what are thoughts about the Strongman Classic? Who's going to win each of these events? Do you have, without knowing what all the events are, it's hard to tell, but do you have an inkling of who you think is going to take the whole thing? If Tom Stoltman's hamstring tear is micro and not a problem, as he says, do you feel like he wins this one too because he's coming off a high at World's Strongest Man where he just beat a bunch of these guys? Or does the fact that this contest doesn't have groups like World's Strongest Man make a difference? He, in fact, didn't win his group at World's Strongest Man. He came in second. Or did he, scenario 3, did he give all he had of himself to win World's Strongest Man, and he's kind of chilling a little bit now, like he doesn't want to peak that high again so soon? Which of those scenarios do you think is the most feasible? Brother Mister says Tom's going to win it. Do we have any agreement in the audience? And we have Luke second, JF third. All right, so the brothers at the very top. I really hope Luke's foot heals, because like I said earlier, he was saying on his YouTube that he had a broken foot at World's Strongest Man. So hopefully maybe that's micro too, like Tom's hamstring tear, and it'll heal in time, because I'd love to see Luke at the peak of his powers at the Strongman Classic, especially given how consistent he was at World's Strongest Man and the unfortunate ending he had with the slip on the Atlas stones. He had been so consistent all the way through the qualifiers and the finals, and I really wanted to see him place higher than he ended up placing just because of one event at the end. So interesting. Yeah. What are other folks' thoughts about? Do you all think Tom's going to take it? Does Alexi make a monumental comeback now and get retribution for World's Strongest Man? Because I noted that, Brother Mister, you don't have Alexi on the podium at all. Jacob Fisher, what's up, buddy? So he says, hey, I hope Felix wins. It's a long shot, but he's an all-time favorite. I don't blame you. He is also a hell of a nice guy with hands literally as large as my face. Yeah, like, I don't know if you guys saw the images that I used on my World's Strongest Man thumbnail videos, like video thumbnails. His hands are like half the size of the thumbnail. They're crazy. But yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, he could win the Hercules hold. I'm rooting for Laz to win it, but Mark can win the Hercules hold, and that's one of 6 events. It depends what the other events are. If one of the other events is deadlift, he can do very well. If it's a traditional 9-inch deadlift for reps, let's say, Mark can do really well with that. Stone carry, depending on the weight of the stone, Mark moves pretty well. So, he may not win those events, but he can probably place consistently enough to do well. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Patrick says, I think Novikov, after losing the groups, I think he will be the hungriest. Yeah, I mean, that's a reasonable expectation. He was in the group that everybody said was the death group or the nightmare group and this and that. And I always thought they meant because Alexei was in it, like not that it would be harder on him because of the other competitors. I thought he's what supposedly made it the death group. But I'll just say this, like, you can look at that sort of description a variety of different ways. You can say, well, group 5 was the death group because if you look at how it turned out, they were the closest to each other. And so I would describe that as the most competitive, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're the most difficult to defeat or the best. It doesn't mean they're not, but it doesn't prove that they are. I would make an argument that I said all along, group 1 was the group with the most difficult guys to defeat, with the highest talent. And if you look at how it all ended up, number 2 and number 3 on the final podium came from group 1. So that's my argument. Let's see. Peter says Mateus isn't competing. That's a bummer. Did you see that on his Instagram? Did he post about that? Because I was trying to dig up whether he was or he wasn't. That's a bummer. It's a bummer that he's not competing, but I continue to say, do what you have to do to heal properly and come back at full force afterward, right? Like he's right to not rush it. If that's the reason why he's not competing, then he's right to not rush it and come back full force when he's able to. Jacob Fisher says, I'm going with Luke Stoltman. I think he got a huge confidence boost at Worlds, missing top 3. Okay, so you think he'll take the whole thing here? I mean, it's possible, right? Because I'm not convinced JF is going to be fully healed. I would love if he is, and I would love if he wins this whole thing. JF's one of my favorite strongmen, but I don't know if he'll be fully healed for this. You have Luke Richardson, who I don't know if he'll be fully healed. We're hearing now that now from Peter that Mateus is not competing. So that's 3 guys there. Terry may or may not compete after his retirement from World's Strongest Man. So that's 4 out of 13 that may or may not compete. Let's see. Who else do we have? I think that's it. So four people who may or may not compete or may not be fully healed definitely increases the odds, right? But Luke would have to be healed as well. Like I said, he spoke of a broken foot on a very recent video. So, if he's fully healed, he has a good chance of making the podium. If he's not, who knows? Okay, so Peter gave the source. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. He said he plans to compete in September. Interesting. So September is even after the Shaw Classic as well. And I think Giants Live has the World Open also in August, so that'll be even past that as well. The World Open with the deadlift championships. Jacob saying just missed top 3. Right. I believe he was in 4th before the Atlas Stone situation happened. Big props to Maxime, though. I mean, he and I talked a few months ago on my channel. I interviewed him and Sam Beliveau, so they're together, and we did a couples interview, and he talked a lot about how much he had worked on stones like all year to really come in strong, and he backed it up. He worked hard, he backed it up, and he made the podium. So big props to Maxime Boutreau. He may be coming back on my channel soon. I'm trying to get him. We'll see in the coming weeks. Trying to get our schedules to sync up. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. So I should have either on one of my live streams or as a pre-recorded interview, Maxime Boutreau and Ivar Smokstell is coming on very soon. So keep an eye out for those. Peter says he also states that he told Brian Shaw that he won't be at the Shaw Classic. Right. Yep. Yeah. If he's saying September, then it doesn't coincide. Like I said, I mean, he needs to do what he knows his body. He needs to do what he needs to do to recover properly and bring his best package. And that's just that. Patrick says, would love to see Maxime replace Terry if Terry does withdraw from this. I would too. Would you say he is the top option if Terry withdraws? I don't know if I could think of a better one. I don't know if Brian would come over for it. So that would be, Tom's already here, so I would say the only better option would be Brian Shaw, and I don't know if Brian would come over for it. I don't know if he's at this point in his career competing any more often than the Shaw Classic and World's Strongest Man. But yeah, Brian or Maxime would be pretty crazy. Yeah, Max just has to work on his deadlift a little more, and he has been. He's been working hard on his deadlift, but just continue to do so. And if he can get his deadlift just like within medium realm of the other guys, they're all in trouble. They're all in big trouble. Brother Mister says, a little off topic, but what do you think about Martine's injuries? Do you think he will win another World's Strongest Man? I'm a pretty direct guy, so I'll just answer you straight. Yes, I think he'll win another World's Strongest Man. About his injuries, I think it's extremely bad fortune. It seems like he goes from one thing to another. So getting hit by a car has got to be a really low probability situation. And I believe he was riding a bike when it happened, and he went flying and just crazy. Then he had the appendectomy recently, so it's just one thing after another. Does he have the motivation and the drive to heal from all that stuff and come back and win another one? And the skill and the talent and the strength? Yes. So next year, probably no. But at some point in his career, looking at how Martins has done historically in World's Strongest Men up until now, can he win again? I absolutely think he can. What do folks in the audience think? And he's really entertaining too. So it's great to watch his journey, for better or for worse. His lifting videos are really entertaining. I love the opening. I love the actual contents and the closing, like that kind of old time opening montage he has is funny. And he was good at World's Strongest Man this year. He said, I forgot who he was interviewing. If it was, it might have been Tom Stoltman, where he said, that was my first interview ever. And so from interviewing many strongmen and strong women now, about a year into my YouTube channel, I didn't start interviews right away, but from doing multiple interviews, I've seen my progression. And when he said that was my first interview, I could tell, like, first of all, I was way worse than that in my first interview. I had the good fortune of having very understanding strong women as my first interview. So Alila Worley was first. And then the same evening, Katie Chaos Rogers, who had a background in roller derby before going into strong woman. And then we had Christine Matthews, who is Panda Small But Swole on Instagram. So you should follow all of them. They were my first 3 interviews all in one night. And there was a lot of filler words, and I just wasn't anywhere near as smooth or prepared as I have become since then. So when Martine says, hey, that was my first interview, like, I could tell he was stumbling a little bit, but it was good for a first interview, and he'll get better and better. But he's always entertaining. He's very knowledgeable, and he was pretty straightforward with a lot of his picks, to a fault sometimes, saying he was picking people because they were his friends. But yeah, I love watching Martine's Lacey's. Predictions for how Laz will do, says Erect. It's really hard to say without knowing what all the events are. So there are 6 events, and one of them is a surprise event. So if the surprise event is a frame carry or something that is a moving event with grip involved, Laz will do really well in an event like that. Deadlifting, he's decent, but not among the best in the world anymore. Overhead pressing, he's pretty good, but like anything involving moving quickly, grip events, he'll do well. Hercules hold, I told him he would win that on his live stream. He promptly corrected me and told me that Mark Felix is going to win the Hercules hold. But I think he can do well in events like that. A Hercules hold, static hold, or moving events like a frame carry, yoke. If there's a yoke in here, he'll do well with yoke. So I'm not pulling out like axe throws and weird, edge case scenarios. Like, there are common events that if they're included here as the ones we don't know about yet, he can really excel. So how do I think he'll do? It depends what those other events are and how good these other guys are at those events and how healthy they all are. So as far as I know, Big Laz is healthy. He's not injured or anything. And he's coming in ready. He said that he wanted to try to get to 90% of his best. And he thought that if he could get to 90% of his best, he would do fairly well here. So we'll see how that all pans out. I mean, a lot of these guys are beat up from World's Strongest Man. Like, granted, this is almost a month later, so maybe that's enough rest time. We'll see. But I don't know if it's enough rest and then re-peak time. So we'll see how that all pans out. But as Big Laz, as my buddy Big Laz always says, with the right set of events, He can do really well here. He's not going to win, and I don't think he's expecting to, but he can do pretty well. Patrick says, I would like to see Martin's return, but he does a lot of teasing and clickbaiting about the next competition that has just become old. I guess I haven't watched enough of his videos. I haven't really seen that. I believe you. I just haven't seen a lot of that next competition stuff. Do you think it's really clickbaiting, or was it like you really intended to come back but then had the appendix thing? Or I don't know. I don't want to trash talk the guy if I don't know what's happening, but I'll tell you who does clickbait, in my opinion. Robert Oberst clickbaits. His stuff is super entertaining, but he had the one video saying like, I just broke Brian Shaw's keg record. And then you click on the video and he's not even throwing kegs. It's sandbags, which, it's whatever. You click on it and he's super entertaining. So it's hard to avoid him. Like, he got me the other day. I saw the clickbait video and I said, I want to like not watch this stuff for a while now. But then he did a bunch of stuff with Travis Ortmeyer, who's one of my favorite strongmen. So I'm like, oh, you got me, man. I want to see Travis, and now I have to watch. But yeah, like the true definition of clickbait, by the way. So some people get accused of clickbaiting when that's really not what's happening. So the true definition of clickbait is using a sensational title or description and not fulfilling the promise. So saying like the Robert Oberst one, I broke Brian Shaw's keg record. Like, when he showed you, he did not in fact do that. Like, it was an untruth. So, or it appeared to be an untruth anyway. And I think Brian called him out on it. So if you're, for example, asking a question in your title, I wouldn't consider that clickbait. Like, is Tom Stoltman better than Brian Shaw? That's not clickbait. If your video actually has a discussion about the merits of one versus the other. So some people do get accused for clickbait when that's not really what they're doing at all, but some people are legitimately clickbaiting. I would have to look at more of Martin's stuff to see. Any other thoughts on how folks are going to do in the Strongman Classic, specifically Big Loz? Like, Big Loz is really, I want to make him the focus of this talk tonight. Where do folks think Big Loz is going to place overall or in particular events? I'm just thinking, like, if 4 guys can't compete due to injuries, then we have 9 left. So where can he place 5th out of 9? Let's ask the question that way. Can Big Loz place 5th or better out of 9? Let's see what folks think. And then we'll wrap it up there for the evening. Patrick says top 5 if he's at 90%. Awesome. It's funny because I had mentioned earlier, so since I got monetized, I have the community tab, and now I can do polls. So I did my first poll today on, who are you most excited to see compete at the Strongman Classic? And some of you may have been some of the folks who voted in that poll. And Big Loz is winning. Like, you guys are all more excited to see him than anybody else, which is my opinion as well. Like, it doesn't let me vote on my own poll. I would have voted for him as well, but it was pretty interesting to see that more people want to see Big Loz than the very recent World's Strongest Man champion. I had Tom Stoltman on the list on the poll. That was very interesting. Any other thoughts about where Big Loz will finish or who you think will podium in the Strongman Classic 2021? And we got to keep our eyes peeled on the website every day to see if they announce these new events or what the remaining events are. There is a way to watch it. So if you're not local and can't buy tickets to see it live, there is on the official Strongman website. They do have, it's a monthly package. So I believe it was $9.99 US per month. And I think you get to watch everything that official Strongman has to offer, including the Strongman Classic. So that's the way to watch it. So if you are wondering how to watch it, that's the way to watch it. Awesome. All right. Well, seems like we got everybody's opinion in this evening. We had a great discussion about the Strongman Classic, Giants Live Strongman Classic 2021, all of the competitors who we feel will be competing and a couple who we're hearing that maybe may not be competing, and where we think Big Loz will finish. We got at least another vote for 5th or better. So thank you all again for joining me this evening on my blog, Strongest Man. Thanks again to all of you who helped me get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. I really do appreciate it. If you're here for the first time and like what you're hearing, please hit that subscribe button and like the stream, and go watch a bunch of the other content on this channel while you're at it. And a lot of it are great athlete interviews that I think you'll enjoy. But thanks again for getting me to that 1,000 subscriber mark. It was a lot of hard work. It took almost a year to get there. And I do appreciate all of your efforts in helping me get there and spread the word. So thanks again. Have a great evening. And of course, as always, until next time. Ciao, homie.